Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. Hope you're doing well. Just about got like desk burn. It's time to talk about a limited edition fragrance. Yay! Woohoo! Limited edition, yeah! Limited edition fragrances to me are kind of a crapshoot, and it's a crapshoot that just about never ends positively. Let me explain. Story time. I'll keep it quick. When a fragrance is limited edition, you basically feel like you've got a fuse that's burning, right? And as it gets closer, it's like, I gotta buy it before vanished into the ether, never to be seen again. Unless you go onto eBay and then you'll see it for like 2 or 3 times what it was going for, so there is that. But with limited editions, it feels like, well, why is it limited? And a lot of times the reason is because it's just not that good. It's all right, but it's not anything super memorable. So it's like, well, let's make it limited. So all the big fans buy it and then we just wash our hands of it and it's gone. And that kind of makes sense because if it's not amazing, you just put it out that way, make some money, whatever, move on. But if it's not amazing, then who cares about limited editions? But then we have the unicorn on occasion, the limited edition fragrance that comes out and is actually a banger, but then it's limited edition. Uh-oh. Remember what I said about eBay, 2 or 3 times prices? Yeah. So when I see limited editions, a lot of times I'm just like, here we go. It's either gonna be completely forgettable or it's gonna be awesome and then overpriced in 3 seconds. Great. Nice! Let's talk about this one. Valentino, born in Roma, the gold Uomo. That's a perfect name. I am so glad that you named it that way. Valentino, born in Roma, the gold Uomo. Bruh. Shouldn't it be Valentino Uomo, born in Roma, the gold? I don't know. It doesn't matter. So as I said before, this is a limited edition fragrance and you can pick it up for $120 US, which is a pretty good retail price. Nowadays, that is on the lower end of pricing. So good job, Valentino. I'll have this one linked in the description. Feel free to check it out there. Let's go ahead and peep this presentation. First up, the box. On the front, you have the name of the fragrance, name of the house, size and concentration. It's an eau de toilette, 100 ml size, nothing on the top or the sides. Box is a little tactile, so you can feel those knobs, those nubs in the box. On the back, you have your caution information, your ingredients, and your barcode. On the bottom, your batch code, 38Y400G. And here is the bottle, kind of a pale yellowish gold color to the glass and gold in terms of the accents. So you have a little plate there on the front that has the name of the house, Valentino. On the bottom, you have a sticker with your badge code. The cap clicks into place. And since you and I are friends, we're gonna share a couple sprays. I wish smell-o-vision existed. That would be so sick. You just pop, there you go. Maybe one day. Before we break down this fragrance, if you're on TikTok, give me a follow there if you don't mind. I appreciate it so much. I love you. And yeah, codes are in the description. Let's skip that part today. Let's just talk fragrance. Codes for websites. That's what I'm talking about, not like secret codes. Discount codes for websites. First thing I gotta tell you guys, and this makes sense for a lot of fragrances, not just this one, but when you spray it on, if you go in for a whiff right away, this one might try to singe your nose hairs a little bit.
Stings the nostrils.
Give you that little alcohol pop that tingles your nose. So when you spray this one on, let it sit for 5 seconds and then let it sit for 5 more and then go in for a whiff. Much more pleasant. Note breakdown here is very, very simple. In the top, you have solar notes, spicy notes, and nutmeg, which is interesting because you would think they would just lump nutmeg into spicy notes, but who cares? Then you have in the mid, cedar, and in the base, amber and vanilla. So it is one of those fragrances that has a really simple note breakdown. When you first spray this one on, it has a little bit of a warm, sugary sweetness to it. It's also got a nice little fresh pop as well. It's really appealing off the top. It does lean, I would say, initially a little bit unisex, more so than the other Born in Roma fragrances. And when you first spray this one on, it's not, at least to me, super close to any of the other Born in Roma. As it dries down, it gets a little bit more similar to one of them, which I'll talk about in a second, but off the top, kind of doing its own thing. The solar notes in this fragrance don't come across as like sunscreen to me. A lot of times when you see a fragrance that has solar notes, it'll be more like sunscreen, coconutty type vibes. Don't really get that here so much. Like I said, yes, sweet, and a touch powdery as well, but not solar screen. The vanilla in the note breakdown here, vanilla and amber, is gonna be one of the more prominent parts of the fragrance that comes out pretty early on and stays through into the dry down. And as it does start to dry down, that vanilla takes on almost a cakey kind of aspect around the edges. So again, very sweet, but still with a warm spiciness that lingers through also. And the longer this stays on my skin, the closer it gets to bits and pieces of Yellow Dream. Now listen, when I tell you that, I'm not telling you that this is a dead ringer for Yellow Dream. I'm not telling you that this is super close to Yellow Dream, especially off the top and in the mid. What I am saying though, is as Yellow Dream dries down, and as that vanilla that comes out and melts together with the spices, particularly the ginger/gingerbread that's in that fragrance, bits of that you can pick up in here as it dries down. So the longer this stays on your skin, the more it melds into being more of a vanilla-centric Yellow Dream style Born in Roma fragrance. Again, this is not close enough that you could say, well, if you have Yellow Dream, you don't need the gold, or if you have the gold, you don't need Yellow Dream. It's not that close. But that's where you can actually pick up some of the Born in Roma DNA in here, because when you first spray this on your skin, like I did a second ago, and I'll do again because I like to punish myself, because I'll immediately smell it and burn my nose hairs. Yep, there it is. Off the top, it's not gonna remind you that much of the others. Like I said, kind of doing its own thing. Very fresh, spicy for a second off the top, quickly fades into that more sugary, sweet, warm, spicy aspect with the solar notes blending together in the open. But then as that fades and some of that sugary aspect dies off and gets replaced with that somewhat fluffier vanilla, that's when it gets closer to Yellow Dream. Let's talk performance really quickly. Longevity is actually pretty good. Sticks around for a while, and projection is a little bit above average for me. It's not anything insane in terms of performance, you know, it's not filling up rooms, choking people out, but it gets the job done and it's above average, so I can't complain. And I guess if you went really heavy like a psychopath, it probably would actually fill up a room, considering that sweet aspect that's there in the opening and the dry down. Don't tempt me with the good time. And in terms of seasonality, this is gonna be more a spring and fall fragrance. So this is that type of fragrance that you would wear in more neutral weather. And because of that, you could pull it off during the winter or the summer. Probably rather wear it during the winter myself than the summer, but you could do either one, just adjust those sprays depending on where you're going, what you're doing, you know the drill. And as far as daytime or evening use, for me, leans a little more toward daytime use. Probably not a surprise considering one of the notes is the solar note, solar accord, the sun. We know how that smells, right? We've smelled the sun before, right? This is gonna be one that I feel like is a little divisive because of that sweetness. It's a little simple and it does rely on a good dose of vanilla alongside those warmer spices off the top and in the mid. And as I said, especially when this first opens up and starts to dry down, it leans a little more unisex than the other Born in Roma fragrances. So some people are gonna smell this and just be like, look, man, it's sweet in the open, it's sweet in the dry down. I don't want it. And that's totally valid. If you were looking for something that's not, you know, very vanilla forward, which there's 82 million of those right now, this is not gonna break that mold. It does approach it a little bit differently compared to a lot of the fragrances right now that are using vanilla forward, so there is that. When I smell it, to be fair, this is not one of those ones that's as close to a lot of the other fragrances that have been coming out here recently, so I give it a couple points for that too. But certain people, for sure, gonna smell this and it's just gonna be too sweet, too sugary, too vanilla-y, too cakey, potentially at different parts of the fragrance, and just not vibe with it. I guess I should say, when I say it has cake aspects, I do mean aspects. I don't mean it smells exactly like you have a freaking cake and you smashed it onto your face, okay? Don't want somebody to be like, hey man, I sprayed this on and it does not smell exactly like my birthday cake and I'm let down. Okay. For me, I am a fan of vanilla. I like it. I like it a lot. And I like how this smells. I do. I think it's really nice. Do I put it up with Coral Fantasy? No. Born in Roma Intense? No. Yellow Dream? No. I think that those have more to offer more people, more versatility, usability, compliment factor, performance. But I still think this is a pretty nice fragrance. I think for me, it's kind of one of those deals where you go, oh, this is good. For 120, not too bad. Smells nice, smells really pleasant. Not the best from the line, not the worst from the line. So I enjoy it. Definitely don't hate it, but I could see where it won't work for everybody. If you're interested in that one, for sure, try it out before it goes bye-bye. Rockstud Noir, the limited edition from last year, that one's discontinued now officially if you go to Valentino's website, but you can still find it. You can still find it at Kohl's right now. So even after these are discontinued, you still have a little chance to get them. You know, there's no need to like rush out and grab this right this minute or anything like that. So try it out if you're a fan of the line. Try it out if you're a big fan of vanilla forward fragrances. If you hate vanilla forward fragrances, if you're not a fan of this line, this is not gonna change your mind. All right, guys, that'll do it for me. Thank you for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.